Hey there. Ever find yourself thinking, what's the secret sauce? What makes some companies soar while others just plateau? Today's deep dive is going to be right up your alley. We're cracking open Jim Collins' Good to Great, a classic for a reason.
Yeah, it's a book that really gets you thinking about how companies go from good to great.
It's not about companies that were born with a silver spoon in their mouths. It's about the ones that started out, well, pretty average, and then bam, something clicked. They transformed into something truly exceptional.
And what's more, it's not just about the why, it's about the how of building enduring success.
And the really cool part, this book isn't just some vague theory. Collins and his team dug deep, analyzing decades of data to understand exactly what these companies did differently.
So this isn't just armchair philosophy here, there's some real substance behind it.
What's fascinating here is the sheer timescale. We're not talking about flash-in-the-pan successes. These companies had to demonstrate 15 years of good performance. That's already a high bar.
Yeah.
But then they shifted gears, achieving 15 years of absolutely blowing the competition out of the water.
15 years of good, 15 years of great. That's a powerful testament to the idea that this isn't about luck or even just being in the right place at the right time.
And, it's not like we're talking about obscure businesses here either.
Yeah.
Think Circuit City, Gillette, Kimberly-Clark, names you definitely know, products you might even use every day.
Exactly. And that's what makes this so compelling. It's tempting to think, oh, they were in the right industry at the right time. But Collins found that these principles held true across a huge range of businesses.
It really reinforces the idea that we're looking at timeless principles here. No matter what you're building, no matter what your goals are, there's something in here for you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so buckle up, because this is where it gets really interesting. One of the most powerful ideas in the book is the Stockdale paradox. Have you heard of this one?
I have.
It's named after Admiral Jim Stockdale, the highest-ranking prisoner of war in Vietnam. Talk about a brutal reality check. Stockdale said that the ones who didn't make it out were often those who clung to blind optimism.
That makes sense. I can see how that could be dangerous.
They'd say, we'll be home by Christmas. Then Christmas would pass. Then Easter. Their hope would be crushed each time. Stockdale survived because he embraced a different mindset.
That's a really powerful concept. I'm eager to hear more about it.
He had unwavering faith that he would eventually escape. But, and this is key, he also confronted the brutal facts of his situation. He didn't sugarcoat anything. He knew it was going to be a long, difficult road. But that unflinching honesty, paired with his ultimate faith, is what allowed him to endure.
It's almost like he understood that acknowledging reality allowed him to hold on to hope even stronger.
And what's so powerful is how this translates to the business world. The companies that thrive weren't the ones in denial. They faced their challenges head-on, acknowledged their weaknesses, and then used that clear-eyed perspective to find a path forward. It's like, the obstacle is the way, These companies didn't shy away from the tough stuff.
Yeah.
They actually used it to fuel their growth.
I like that.
And that leads us to another one of those aha concepts from the book, the hedgehog concept.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that one.
This one really resonated with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the idea that truly great companies aren't just good at a lot of things. They're laser focused on what they can be the absolute best in the world at.
Right.
And here's the kicker. It's not about ego or trying to be all things to all people.
It's about knowing your strengths.
It's about deep self-awareness.
Yeah.
The book uses the example of Walgreens during the dot-com boom.
Okay.
Remember when everyone thought the internet was going to change everything overnight?
Oh, yeah.
Walgreens could have panicked, tried to become the next Amazon.
Right.
But they didn't. They took a step back and asked themselves 3 crucial questions. And this is where you might want to grab a napkin and jot this down. Because it's relevant to all of us no matter what we're building. First, what are we deeply passionate about? Second, what can we be the best in the world at? And third, what drives our economic engine?
I see. So it's like finding that sweet spot where those all come together.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is that Walgreens realized they weren't passionate about being a tech company.
Right.
Their sweet spot was convenience, value, and being a trusted source for health and wellness products.
Okay.
So they used the internet to enhance those strengths, not abandon them.
That's smart.
They didn't try to out-tech the tech companies, and they didn't crumble under the pressure. They found their lane, and they dominated it.
Yeah, I love that.
I love that example because it shows how important it is to stay true to yourself, even when the world seems like it's changing overnight.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you see this pattern repeated again and again with the good to great companies.
It's about focus.
They weren't distracted by every shiny new trend. They had the discipline to say no to opportunities that didn't fit within their hedgehog concept.
Discipline. That's huge.
Discipline. That's a word that gets thrown around a lot, but in good to great, it takes on a whole new meaning.
How so?
It's not about some iron-fisted CEO ruling with an iron fist.
Okay.
It's about creating a culture where everyone is rowing in the same direction, even without someone constantly looking over their shoulder.
Right. I see.
They illustrate this with a kind of a funny anecdote about Dave Scott, a 6-time Ironman champion.
Wow. 6 times.
Now, if anyone knows discipline, it's an Ironman athlete, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But here's the thing about Dave Scott, right? He took discipline to a whole other level.
Oh, yeah. What'd he do?
We're talking like rinsing his cottage cheese, like
Mm.
meticulously rinsing each curd to get rid of any extra fat or sodium.
Really? Wow.
Now, I don't know about you,
That's commitment.
but when I first read that, I thought, okay, that's a little extreme.
Yeah.
But then I realized, it's not about the cottage cheese itself.
Right.
It's about the mindset. It's about saying, I'm committed to excellence, even in the smallest details.
It's about the principle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what you see in these good to great companies.
Mhm.
It's not about one big splashy move.
Right.
It's the accumulation of hundreds, even thousands of tiny, disciplined actions consistently applied over time.
Yeah, it's got a compound interest, but for success.
It's like that whole flywheel effect Collins talks about.
Yeah, the flywheel.
Have you ever seen a giant flywheel in person?
I'm trying to picture one. Yeah, I think so.
It takes a ton of effort to get it moving at first.
Right.
Each push seems like it barely makes a difference.
For sure.
But you keep at it, push after push.
Keep pushing.
And eventually, something incredible happens. That flywheel gains momentum, spinning faster and faster until it seems almost unstoppable.
Wow, yeah, I see what you mean.
And that's how it was for these companies.
Makes sense.
They didn't achieve greatness overnight.
Right.
It was a gradual process, a series of smart decisions and disciplined actions, each one building on the last.
Step by step.
Think of it like compound interest, but for your company's success.
I like that analogy.
It's about having the patience to trust the process, knowing that the real breakthroughs come not from some magic bullet, but from the consistent, focused effort applied over time.
It's about playing the long game.
Exactly. And that brings us to one final and I think really important aspect of good to great.
Okay, what's that?
It's not just a business book.
Yeah.
It's a book about people.
Okay.
It's about finding meaning in your work, about building something you're truly proud of.
I can get behind that.
There's this great anecdote in the book about a high school cross-country coach.
Okay.
This guy had an MBA from a top-tier school.
Yeah.
He could have been raking it in at some fancy firm.
Yeah, sounds like he had options.
But instead, she chose to coach.
Really?
Why? Because that's where he found his purpose.
Yeah.
He loved helping these kids push their limits, discover their potential.
That's awesome.
He wasn't motivated by money or status. He was driven by a deep sense of meaning.
I love that.
And I think that's what good to great is really all about.
You think so?
It's about finding that thing, that mission, that ignites your passion and makes you want to get up every morning and do the work.
Yeah.
Even when it's hard.
Finding that drive. Yeah, that's powerful.
So as you go back to your world, whether you're leading a team, building a company, or just figuring out your next move, ask yourself, what's my hedgehog concept? Where do my passions, my talents, and my goals intersect? What's the flywheel I can start pushing today, even if it's just one small push at a time? The journey to great starts with a single step. Until next time, keep diving deep.